I must confess that several people have asked me if we would have a broadcast of the Phillies game. And for you Phillies fans in the room, I have some bad news. I am a lifelong New York Mets fan, so there'll be no broadcast of the Phillies tonight. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, it really is my pleasure to introduce one of our very, very valued members of our alumni and university community. This gentleman contributes countless hours on behalf of Villanova University. I'm really honored to introduce him not only as the president of the Villanova University Alumni Association, but also a member of the University Board of Trustees, my good friend, Mr. Paul Tufano. Paul?
Good evening. On behalf of the Villanova University Alumni Association and the members of the Alumni Association Board of Directors, I'm delighted to welcome you to the 2008 St. Thomas of Villanova Alumni Medal Dinner as we honor this year's recipient, Harold Jensen. The St. Thomas of Villanova Alumni Medal is the highest honor bestowed to an individual by the Alumni Association. It is awarded to an alum who best symbolizes the spirit and legacy of Thomas of Villanova, who has achieved a level of distinction within their chosen field or profession, and who has brought extraordinary benefit to the university and its communities. This year, for the first time, we're presenting the medal as part of homecoming weekend. And I can't think of a better way for us to start this tradition than by honoring Harold tonight. You were only about 5 seconds off with that. Tonight, you will hear from some of the best and brightest of Villanova. Its past, its present, and its future. And Harold, they're all here tonight to honor you and the way that you embody everything it means to be a Villanovan. One of those people who I'd like to introduce is one of the newest members of our community. About 4 months ago, Mike O'Neill took on the role of Vice President for University Advancement. And we welcome Mike, even though he's a Fordham alum, but he's quickly become a Villanovan in his own right. And I'm happy to say that he has brought to his job of integrating alumni relations, development, and advancement the same type of community spirit that we as Villanovans all know and love. I've enjoyed getting to know Mike. He has already charted a great path for his whole area in some very challenging times. And I think it's only fitting for Mike, and it's not surprising to me that in honor of Harold, the Dow Jones was up today. So, and that makes Mike's job a lot easier. So, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce our Vice President for University Advancement, Mike O'Neill.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Like Gary, I am a Met fan, and I thought I'd spend the next 2 hours filibustering through the evening. And we get you home about the 6th inning. I'd like to thank Paul for that very nice introduction and for inviting me to be part of this evening's festivities. I'd like to start by saying what a pleasure it is to be here and to offer my sincerest congratulations to our very special and deserving honoree this evening, Harold Jensen. As Paul so eloquently pointed out, I'm not an alumnus of this fine university. But like so many college basketball aficionados who have a soft spot for the underdog, my emotional link to Villanova began in 1985, when despite being a heartbroken St. John's / Chris Mullin fan, whose own national championship dreams were cut short by dreaded Georgetown, I watched Harold from my Long Island kitchen and watched him accomplish what Chris Mullin and company could not do, and that was go a perfect 5 for 5 from the field to lead the Wildcats to the greatest college basketball victory of all time. To learn that Harold's relationship, coming here just a few months ago, to learn that Harold's relationship with Villanova did not end with the cutting down of those nets or a trip to the White House, but deepened as he became an engaged alumnus, a past president of the Alumni Association, and a major benefactor to the university, speaks in equal parts about the type of person he is and the type of place Villanova is. And the same holds true for the 95,000 plus alumni whose ties to Alma Mater have only strengthened since graduation. That will be in evidence this weekend, weather permitting, when 15,000 alumni, family, and friends descend on campus for homecoming and that W against #1 rated James Madison, or the fact that thousands of alumni supported the $300 million Transforming Minds and Hearts campaign that ended this past December, the largest campaign in university history, or perhaps more poignantly and encouraging, that despite these volatile economic times, we actually have more donors this year than we did at this point last year. But our work is not done. It's worth clapping about, absolutely. Thanks for leading that, Father. But our work is not done, and I know that this Alumni Association Board, who are to be congratulated for planning this very special celebration, is not satisfied and will work tirelessly to engage a much broader spectrum of alumni in the life of Villanova. Yes, to leverage the financial capital of our alumni brothers and sisters, but just as importantly, to leverage their intellectual capital, all for the benefit of our current and prospective students. So thanks again to Paul and the entire Alumni Board for all their efforts. And I'd like to make a special acknowledgement to John Branca, Harold's roommate, who came from Arkansas to be here tonight. Given my New York roots, I wanted to say Ralph Branca. And I'd also like to acknowledge Herb Asbury, who is with us this evening, is often with us at any number of functions throughout the year and on campus and off, who is our chair of the Board of Trustees and also a past president of the Alumni Association. I look forward to working with all of you to advance the university's ambitious vision. Congratulations again, Harold, on this most deserving award, and please everyone enjoy this very special Villanova evening.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for joining us tonight and for what you're going to do to help all of us in the future of Villanova. Hiring Mike was one of the many decisive actions that Father Peter has launched in his presidency. And this is an exciting time to be part of the university. 2 years ago, Father Peter became president and launched the university into the 21st century and beyond. And it's just an exciting time. We are at a crossroads as a university. We are just in the final phases of finishing a strategic plan for the university. We've just finished a campus master plan, which if you haven't gone on the website of the university, I would encourage you to look at what the future holds for this university in terms of just the physical plan. And the strategic plan married with the campus master plan will take all of these great successes that we've had over the last 166 years and take us to the next level. And that's why I think being the president of the Alumni Association at this time just couldn't be a greater time. When I took over a few months ago as president, I sent an email to 94,000 alumni, and I issued a call to action asking alumni to step up and to get involved with the university. If you can't write a check, then roll up your sleeves. Get involved with an alumni chapter. Get involved with your college within the university on an advisory board or something like that. Get involved with admissions and help recruit somebody. And I was amazed and probably somewhat was foolish to send my email address as part of that because the wave of email replies that I got literally from all over the world. And that's what's great about Villanova. People said, basically, put me in, coach. What can I do? And Gary Olson and his staff are trying to take all of those people who responded and said, what can I do? And get them involved with the university. And it's just great to see that type of reaction from people, and that's what makes being part of the Alumni Association so fulfilling, that we get to continue to move the university forward and stay in touch with all the things that we learned when we were students here. And tonight we will, a little while, get to recognize somebody who every time the call to action came, he answered and answered strongly. But as we prepare to celebrate tonight and to share our dinner together, I'd like to call upon Beth Hassel, our Director of Campus Ministry, to deliver the invocation. Beth?
We are in the presence of our God, and so we pray. St. Thomas of Villanova writes, "Great is the human being's excellence and dignity, because he is the image of God." Good and gracious God, we gather tonight to celebrate Mr. Harold Jensen, who as a Villanova alumnus has graciously and generously exemplified the values and the life of St. Thomas of Villanova, so central to our mission. He is a great person and friend of the Villanova community, who through his life of service has given us a vibrant image of our God. We ask you to bless Harold and his family as we bless this meal and the conversation we will have that will nourish both body and spirit. We ask this through Christ our brother. Amen.
Please enjoy your dinner. Before we get to the formal part of the ceremony, there are a number of people in the audience who I would be remiss if I did not recognize. First, the leadership of the university, starting with Mike O'Neill mentioned before, Herb Asbury, the chairman of the Board of Trustees, and the former past president of the Alumni Association. And I'll go through some other people. Hold your applause. I'll ask them all to stand and be acknowledged. Ms. Ann Diebold, Vice President for University Communication. Mr. James Danko, the Dean of the Villanova School of Business. Dr. Louise Fitzpatrick, Dean of the College of Nursing and happy recipient of a new nursing school. Mr. Vince Nicastro, the Athletics Director. Mr. Steve Merritt, Dean of Enrollment Management. Father George Riley, Special Assistant to the President for Alumni and External Affairs. Father Cale Ellis, Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. And not to be last but not least, Father John Stack, Dean, Vice President for Student Life. Hey! There are also some people I'd like to recognize and ask that they stand and be acknowledged as a group, and that is the Board of Directors of the Villanova University Alumni Association. Bob Burns, who's the President-elect, Katrina Urkel, Tracy Bralla, Al Martinez-Fonts, John Smock, our immediate past president, Greg Megan, Michelle Stefaniak, Chauncey Fort, Bridget Schmidt, Father Sean Tracy, Michael Yaknick, Peter Fong, and Davey Camalier. Please acknowledge them. And I would also be remiss if I didn't recognize a former president of the Alumni Association, Mr. Bill Savino. Thank you, all of you, for being here tonight. Harold, I think it's a great statement about what people think about you, that we have such tremendous representation from the university leadership. There's some other, I would say, and we'd all agree, more important people in Harold's life who I want to acknowledge who are here today for this special event, and that's Harold's family. His wife, Carolyn, class of '89. And we thank her for everything that she did when Harold was president of the Alumni Association for 2 years. And their children, Harold and Hannah. Could they step up and take a bow? And Harold's parents are here, Harold and Corinne Jensen. And now, the reason for our celebration tonight. Thinking about Harold and this award, there are two personal reflections or memories that I have. The first is when I had the lucky job of calling Harold to tell him that the Alumni Association had selected him for this award. As somebody who, like all Villanovans, is a great Harold Jensen fan, and having worked with Harold on the alumni board when he was president, it was an honor and a thrill for me to call him. And I wasn't prepared for Harold's reaction. And he was very emotional. He said to me, I'll never forget, he said, this was one of the most important phone calls I've ever had in my life. And so I know this means a lot to Harold. You know, for those of us who've worked with Harold, it's to know him as a great Villanovan, an accomplished business person, and a great university leader. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you, a story, which is why we have to get Harold out on the campus maybe a little bit more. Last year, we went to, I think it was last year, we went to Hoops Mania, and we were going into the will call window or whatever, and to get the tickets that Alumni Association and other VIPs so we could sit inside. And we went up to the student who was working behind the desk inside the pavilion, and, you know, I said my name and had my ID, and Harold said, Harold Jensen. The student said, do you have any ID? So I took Harold's hand with the national championship ring. I said, don't you know who he is? This is all the ID that he needs. So we have to get him maybe out and on campus a little bit more with the students, because I think our age is starting to catch up with us. But it's only fitting at this time, given Harold's great connection with the university and the athletic program, to introduce somebody who, like Harold, everywhere he goes, embodies everything that Villanova is all about, and has created a lot of energy and excitement on this campus and on a national level. It is my pleasure to introduce the head coach of the Villanova Wildcats men's basketball program, Mr. Jay Wright.
Ooh, it is great to be here, and when Harold came in there and everyone cheered, I thought he's the only one later than me. But I apologize. I know Gary, we had an alumni function last night. The Philadelphia alumni were at our practice, and I know the way Gary told me at the end, said, Jay, it's 8 o'clock. Be there at 8 o'clock. You have to be there. And our practice ran late. And that's why, not my practice. Hoops Mania practice, that ran late. And I'm not in charge of that. The cheerleaders and the dance team, and they're tough. They are tough. They work hard. And Jens and Stevie, guys, if our guys worked as hard and had as much attention to detail as cheerleaders and dance team and band members, we would win a national championship. They don't want, our guys were screwing up the dance, they're coming in off the wrong side, do it again. And I wasn't in charge, so we had to keep doing it. That's why I was a little bit late, I apologize. But I'm very honored to be a part of this night. Number one, to be involved with the Alumni Association, and most especially for Harold. And I just heard that story, and for some of you that have heard my little story, I gotta tell you this, about Harold going to will call. You just have to understand, there are kids we're recruiting now that weren't born when the national championship occurred. And to me, it's still the biggest thing in my life. I didn't even play, didn't coach, and it's still the biggest thing. And it just, I have to learn that. And, students now, they have got a memory of about 2 or 3 years. That's about it. They don't know anything went before. And I'll tell you a quick one. When I coached at Hofstra, we used to, and some of you have heard this, but I'm going to tell Jen so we learn not to do this. We used to have a church in Brooklyn that we used to bring the kids, we used to do clinics, and then we'd bring the kids out for free to the game. So we would do a clinic in Brooklyn, they would come to the game, because when we were at Hofstra, no one would come to our games. So when we got the job at Villanova, the night that we got the job, the pastor of the church called me and asked me if I would come up and speak at their CYO dinner at the basement of their church. So I didn't really want to do it because I just got the job, but I said I'll do it, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. Not as good as winning a national championship, but I felt good. So I got up there, and it was in the basement of the church, and the dais was here, the kitchen was back here, and everybody was sitting out here. They had about 400 people. And the 15-year-old kids were serving, and they gave us baked potatoes and roast beef. And I said to the guy, he gave me 1 pat of butter, and I said, can I have another pat of butter, please? And he said, 1 pat per person, sir. And he went back and then he served, and he came back to the kitchen. I said, excuse me, can I get another pat of butter? He said, 1 pat per person, sir. And he went in the kitchen and he came out. I like butter with my baked potatoes. So he came back and I said, excuse me, and I uttered those words. Could I have another pat of butter, please? He said, 1 pat per person, sir. I said, do you know who I am? He said, no. He said, do you know who I am? I said, no. He said, I'm the guy with the pads of butter. So never say that. Never say, it's a true story. So you never ever say that. But, I'm very proud to represent the Villanova basketball program on this evening for Harold. I know Coach Massimino would love to be here, and he's working hard coaching his Northwood team right now. They've had about 62 practices already for their Villanova game. And the only time they're not practicing, he's up here in our gym watching our practices, so he knows what we do. And it's amazing. He's stopping our practice, asking me, how did you run that cut here? And I'm thinking to myself, we're playing you the first game. But he loves Harold and loves Harold. I know he loves him so much. I know Coach has convinced himself that Harold is Italian. That's when he really, really loves somebody, he's just got to find a way in his mind to figure out that he's Italian. Whitey, I don't know if anywhere back in there's Italian bloodlines, but he thinks so. We got him? That's why I know. That's why he loves him. It wasn't the shot. It wasn't just the shots in the championship game. Two of my memories of Harold, besides the national championship game, which we all have, and I'm sure he probably gets tired of hearing, but one is, and I think it tells you the kind of guy Harold is, when I was an assistant coach here in '87, that was my first year, 2 years after the national championship, Harold had just graduated. It was the '87-'88 year. Carolyn, I believe you were still a cheerleader, right? '87-'88? Carolyn! Right? So you still would have been a cheerleader. So we were playing in the Final Eight down in Birmingham, and to me, I was only like 25. Harold Jensen was still he's a legend, national championship, and we're pulling out to play against Kentucky. We're pulling out of the hotel, and we're very somber and ready for the game. And as we pull out of the parking lot, Gents and Wolfie and a bunch of these guys are on top of a Winnebago cheering for the bus to go out. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy just played a national championship game. He's cheering for us. I thought that was the coolest thing. Everybody was quiet on the bus, but I'm thinking, this guy's the best, man. He just, most players don't do that for other players. And the second one is, I met Harold when I was an assistant coach here, and then when I was the head coach at Hofstra University, we played in our first championship game, and we played at 11 o'clock in the morning. It shows you how big of a game it was to everybody. And that was the only way they would put it on TV, if we played at 11 o'clock. So it wasn't that big of a thing. But to me, in my life, at that time, that was a big event. And Harold came all the way up there to watch that game. And we were playing for a championship, and I was as excited that Harold was there. I was like, Harold Jensen came to our championship game. This is really cool. So we won. I brought him back into the locker room after the game. And these kids at Hofstra had won their first championship. They were going to the NCAA tournament for the first time. And I'm going, guys, Harold Jensen came to see you guys play tonight. And they didn't remember either. They didn't know. And I'm all excited. They won a championship. I'm going, Harold Jensen's here. This is Harold Jensen, guys. What we talk about in our program, as we all do at Villanova, it's a great Augustinian mantra, and we talk with our guys about being a man and living your life for others. And I think those two examples tell you what kind of man Harold is. And in our society today, to a lot of young men, being a successful man is about what kind of car you drive, what type of bling you wear, how many girls you have. And to our young guys, it's always important for us to teach them it's what kind of man you are, what kind of husband, what kind of father. what kind of member of your community, and how much do you live your life for others. And Harold is the greatest example of a Villanova basketball player, the way he lives his life. And we are so proud of him, and we're so happy for you tonight, Harold. You deserve this. And I'm so happy that it comes from our Alumni Association, because it's bigger than just basketball. It's about our university, and that's what you're about. And we have in our Davis Center, which coincidentally, Harold and his partner, Suds, did all of the work on the inside of all the graphics, and they donated that to Villanova also. And one of the signs that Harold's company put up in there is when you walk in, and lit up, it says, "Once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat." And we always use in recruiting, I tell all the recruits, I want, when I meet with a recruit, I tell them, I want you to come to Villanova, get your degree, win a national championship, be an NBA draft choice, marry a cheerleader, and drive a Mercedes. That's what I want you to do. And Harold did all those things. Harold, so when I say that he is the ultimate Villanova basketball player and the greatest example, and his company put that sign up there that says, "Once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat," I don't think you can pick another man that exemplifies what it is to be a Wildcat, and I don't think you pick another man that you know for the rest of his life will always be a Wildcat, and that's Harold Jensen. And we're so proud of you. We love you, buddy. Have a great night. You enjoy it. And Carol and the family, you guys deserve it too. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. I'm glad that Jay talked about Harold as a member of a community. It isn't just Harold's great career as an athlete that we're celebrating tonight. For those of us who are involved with the Alumni Association, I will tell you that was actually secondary for us when we decided to select Harold for this prestigious award. The Alumni Association in its past, it's traveled many roads. And I really feel that I can say today, I think that the Alumni Association has never enjoyed a better relationship in its history with the rest of the university community than it does right now. And that wasn't always the case. And just like families, there's different challenges in the life cycle of a relationship. And so too has it been with the Alumni Association. And Harold's 2 years as president of the Alumni Association were really, I think, pivotal in terms of solidifying where the Alumni Association is in terms of, I think, as a respected, collaborative partner with the administration, the faculty, the Board of Trustees, and the students. And I know Harold worked really hard developing those relationships with Herb and with Father Dobbin and other people throughout the university. And it's really that and Harold's excellence as an athlete and as a business person as well that we celebrate. And so now given that, it's fitting for me to talk about the next person I'd like to call up. Villanova has been very blessed with leadership from the Augustinians throughout its history. And for those of us, dating ourselves to our time here, I look back at Father Driscoll and what he did to enhance Villanova's academic reputation on a national basis, and Father Dobbin taking the university to the next level, growing its endowment, 20-fold, and starting a renaissance, if you will, of the campus. Father Donahue building on the foundation from Father Driscoll and Father Dobbin by having the vision to start this strategic planning process, the campus master plan, and rivals Jay Wright for the enthusiasm and excitement factor on campus with the students. You won't find two people who played that Pied Piper type of role on this campus, like Jay Wright and Father Peter Donahue. And Villanova is in such wonderful hands with our university president. And so it gives me great pleasure, it's an honor to introduce the 32nd president of Villanova University, the Reverend Peter M. Donahue.
It's always a little dangerous to get up after Jay gets up, because he usually steals everything I'm going to say. But I was at a dinner one night, and somebody said to me, I said, could I have more butter from my potato? And they said, sure, Father, how much would you like? And I said, do you know who I am? And they said, yes, you're the president of Villanova. And you can have as much butter as you want. So, I'm sorry, Jay. And last night, I was actually driving over to the sports complex over there, and all of these people were walking into the pavilion with suits on. I was actually going over to fill my car up with gas. And I ran into somebody behind the pavilion, and they said, are you coming to the coaches' night? And I said, I don't know anything about the coaches' night. And they said, oh, there's a big affair in the pavilion for the coaches. And I said, what coaches? And they said, Jay and Harry. And I said, well, I wasn't invited. So next time, maybe I'll get invited. So, but this is not about Jay, and it's not about me. You know, we go back and forth about this. This is about Harold. So, Harold, I really want to thank you for your involvement at Villanova. You may not know this, but when I came to Villanova in 1984, a long, long time ago, and I did leave and come back again, so I've been here for that long. But I was a young Augustinian, and you were a young basketball player, and you had no idea who I was, nor did you ever pay any attention to me whatsoever. And it was always this kind of like, oh, the team, and then it became the 85 team, and there's a couple of members here from the 85 team. And so you were always like, oh my God, these are the untouchables. And when I became president, Harold was actually involved in the Alumni Association, and they said, have you ever met him? And I said, I've never met him, but I know him. And the interesting thing about it was he knew me. And that was really what was interesting, because he came right up to me and said, Father Peter, how are you? And I was like, how in the world do you know who I am? And he said, I recognize you. So it was, you've given a lot of years to Villanova over the years, through your involvement not only as a student, but through basketball, and your involvement with the Alumni Association. I mean, for many years you've given a lot of dedicated service to the Alumni Association, and you have really exemplified what this award is all about. It's fitting that we've kind of changed the venue in this. I don't know if all of you realize that this like squeezed into the end of the weekend, and it took place at a mass and all of those kind of things. But I really appreciate what Gary and his staff has done to really highlight you as a valuable alumni of this university. You have given a great deal to us. You have been a part of us, and you and your partner Dave. Dave, where are you? There you are, Dave. Gave a lot to the Davis Center in terms of what you contributed to really making people walk into that center and feeling that they were part of the Villanova community, and that was all done through you and Dave's generous contribution to the university. And so you have exemplified for us the legacy of what this award is all about. And this award for the Alumni Association is really about a person who has exemplified for us as a university, a person who really lives that truth, that unity, and that love for Villanova. And you have done that throughout the years. So we are very grateful for your participation in the university, for your wife, for your 2 children. Oh, there's one. I thought she disappeared. But and you've really been a part of this campus, and you've been a part of this university, and you've been a part of this family. And this family extends well beyond the university. So, Harold, it is my pleasure to welcome you into this illustrious institution as a recipient of this award. And now let's take a closer look at the 2008, I have this written out for me, the 2008 St. Thomas of Villanova Alumni Medal recipient, Harold Jensen.
This is Harold Jensen.
I met Harold early in his freshman year. My first impression of Harold was, this is just a special kind of guy.
Number 33, Wayne McClain.
My relationship with Harold Jensen goes back from the high school days up in New England. We had the opportunity to play against each other in basketball camp.
He's got a very, very strong presence, but no ego, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Our accomplishments at Villanova recognize Harold as a great teammate. But looking back on it 25 years later, I think he's a better friend.
Harold was a highly recruited freshman out of Connecticut.
Harold and Villanova just clicked. That when he got here and he became introduced to the university, that he realized he had found a home.
Harold Jensen, definitely probably one of the hardest working guys we had come in. Being a younger kid, he would often run basketball practices by himself, in the sense that he would be a five-man offense. He would stop dribbling the ball, he would pass it to himself, run and fill that spot, pass it again to himself, cut to the basket, pass it to himself. I mean, this guy had a great understanding of all five positions on the court.
I'll never forget that game against Villanova against Georgetown in 1985.
Our intensity just really rose. We knew as seniors this was our last chance to compete at this level.
This championship is arguably one of the greatest upsets in the history of NCAA basketball.
Of course, Harold was one of the real stars of the game with perfect shooting that night, as I recall.
Here's Jensen's first shot, and he's on the money.
He was 4 for 5 from the line.
Nothing but net.
And his final jump shot with a few minutes to go put Villanova ahead for good.
Jensen puts Villanova ahead.
Late in the game, we were up a few points. All we had to do was basically get the ball inbounds to preserve our victory. And I went over to Harold. I said, whatever you do, Harold, please get me the ball. I made a move to get the ball. I was tripped, I stumbled, and I fell. And of course, Harold still threw me the ball.
That's it. Villanova has done it.
No one thought we could do it, but I did, and so did they.
As a close friend of Harold's, it was all that much more gratifying. I sat with a bunch of my friends down Lexington next to his dad and mom, and to see the pride on his parents' face, knowing what he had sacrificed and gone through to get to this point, and to win a game like this it's almost dreamlike that this really happened. It was just an enormous sense of euphoria that just took over the entire community.
And they did it. The Villanova Wildcats are champions.
One of the things that has been an ongoing source of humor and teasing of Harold is the short white shorts that he used to wear during his playing days. And of course, for today's players, they don't relate to that because they wear the long, loose-fitting shorts. But we always used to tease Harold, and we'll continue to do so.
In 1989, we formed our own company with not a lot of money, a pretty big dream, and a whole lot of determination. Harold has a tremendous knack of forging relationships, developing relationships, and he has done that his whole life. His father will tell stories of his high school years, of Harold coming home after basketball practice and then getting into the driveway and shooting foul shots for a couple hours every night. Harold was as dedicated to basketball as he is to business today. He only knows one way to do things, and that is to go a million miles an hour as hard as he can, to do it with tremendous passion. He is a great family man. He's a great business partner. He loves this university, and we are fortunate as Villanovanans to have an ambassador as strong as Harold Jensen.
Gary Olson and I were recruiting him to join the Alumni Board of Directors. And I guess I was surprised. I sort of held him on a pedestal because of his accomplishments, and a little bit surprised to find out what a regular, self-effacing guy he was, and really a true Villanovan in that sense.
I remember the conversation I had with Harold when we first talked about his potential for joining the Alumni Association Board of Directors, and I was really taken by what his first response was, and that was, "I'm very humbled that you would think to ask me to serve." And at that moment I knew that we really had the right person, because there was that sense of humility that he expressed that I thought spoke volumes about the character of the man. Once people got past the memory of Harold's contributions on the court, they began to realize this was a very, very special human being. And eventually, Harold became the president of the Alumni Association and served for 2 years.
Harold's the type of person, that you want in your life. You want your kids to grow up loving and admiring. Once you get to know him, this man will open his heart to you.
I think Harold's display of loyalty to his family and friends is an indication of how important that is to him. I know for one that if I had a need for anything, that I could call Harold and he would be there.
Our friendship is as close a bond as two friends could ever have. We've gone through the highs and the lows of life together. He has never let me down as a friend. This is a very special human being that I'm lucky to call a brother.
Well, Harold, I'm first of all delighted that you were chosen for this award. It's very, very well deserved. And also delighted that I conned you into succeeding me as alumni president.
You have been the consummate Villanovan, a great representative of our university, and love you, pal.
So Harold, let me extend my sincerest thank you for being such a wonderful, involved alumnus, a good friend, and I sincerely congratulate you on your selection to receive the 2008 St. Thomas of Villanova Alumni Medal.
Ladies and gentlemen, Harold Jensen.
Father Peter, members of the board, members of the staff here at the university, the Alumni Association, Gary, Paul, I'm blown away. I'm blown away by tonight, by having so many people come here and celebrate and share in this special occasion. I certainly want to thank those that were involved in the decision. There's a couple of you that I don't think have cashed your checks yet, actually, so if you want to see me afterwards. But, when I got the call from Paul, and he talked about this a little bit, obviously Paul is an eloquent, well-spoken guy, and, I'm on the phone, and I was out back in the yard doing some work, and so we're talking, and he's saying, geez, yeah, we're going to change some of the things around, and we're going to do the St. Thomas of Villanova Award, right before homecoming starts, and so, what do you think? He goes, would you like to be that guy this year? And I thought, do you mean, introduce the winner, or, and he said, no, we want it to be you. And it is one of the most important calls that I ever received in my life, because it's been 25 years of joy for me, of love and dedication and passion and commitment for something that is beyond words. So to be selected and to accept was also the easiest answer I think I've ever had to make. But needless to say, I was blown away. My journey here began actually in '82. November 13th, 1982, I sat in Coach Rolly Massimino's office with my family and signed a letter of intent to come play here. I should have known it was good karma right off the bat. That happens to be my dad's and Rolly's birthday. It was a great day. I had a chance to spend a lot of time with the players, and just incredible guys. And we had a great time that night. And I knew I'd get a great education, and there was a community here. And it was an easy decision for me. Many kids struggle with that. It was very easy for me. It really was. And, you know, when I look back on it, I know why it was easy, because this is my home. And we had a great night, and the next day, I asked my folks, I said, geez, so, you know, they had gone out with Rolly and his wife, Mary Jane, that night, and I said, well, you know, well, did you guys have a good time? How was dinner? And my dad looks at me, and he's grabbing my arm, and he says, I hope he's a better coach than he is a driver. He said, we went through 6 red lights and almost hit 5 people. You know what? Coaches don't drive, actually, now that I think of it. I was on campus with Dave, you know, we're doing some stuff over at the Davis Center, and here comes the Range Rover, right? And I'm thinking, oh, there's Jay. Well, I think Aaron Wade was driving, and Jay was in the passenger seat. He may have actually been in the back. And, you know, I'm thinking, they're always on the phone. There's always something going on with coaches, right? And, you know, I thought, all right, so 30 games a year, 40 minutes a game, 1,200 minutes. That's like 20 hours. I'm thinking, all right, so they work like less than 1% than the rest of us. And we all wonder why the guy looks so damn good. You know, I'll tell you, from 83 to 87 when I was here, it was an amazing experience. It really was. From building great relationships and friendships that have lasted till now and will certainly last a lifetime. The guys that are hooting and hollering tonight are my best buddies. And John I've known since we were 5 years old. You know, just amazing relationships and friendships and care and concern for each other. And you know, the rest of it has come from Villanova, has come from that fabric that's here. My best friend, business partner for a long time, my wife, learning from a great group of educators and professors here, establishing core values and beliefs that you take with you for your life, playing for a great coach who was a maniac, as we all know, but was a father figure, playing with some amazing players, guys that I love so dearly. They are my brothers. And it was just absolutely the best. I could not look back and say I want to change anything. I'm lucky. Winning on April Fool's Day wasn't too bad either. You know, it does have its drawbacks, though, once in a while. You know, being close, I'm lucky, but every once in a while, you know how Jay does a great job with the alumni players. He gets us very involved. And, you know, I try and get to as many games as I can. And, you know, Whitey Rigsby grabbed me one game during the first half, and he said, hey, we had a cancellation. You know, Jay likes to bring somebody out at halftime and acknowledge them. And so Whitey says, can you just jump in? And absolutely, no problem. Be happy to do it. So I'm walking out on the court, and, you know, they go through the statistics and this and that. This guy did this, this guy did that. And I'm thinking, you know, I didn't have that many rebounds. And, you know, I was here more than one year, I think, right? So I'm going, and I'm walking out, and I'm waving, and, you know, everybody's looking at me, and I say, you know, here's Whitey saying, please give a warm welcome, Villanova Wildcat welcome for Tim Thomas. And I'm thinking, and I'm waiting, I'm thinking, I look over, and I'm like, hey, Whitey, I'm 6'5". I thought that would go over better. There are many people that I want to thank and will thank. And much of that will come on a personal level and face-to-face. There are a few, however, that I want to publicly thank tonight because they have certainly played a special role in my life, in my connection to Villanova, and who I am as a person. Gary Olson had reached out to me in 1999, I believe, and first asked and talked about, you know, the potential to join the alumni board. And I was absolutely honored and humbled by it. And we talked for a while about it. I got familiar with what it would entail, and I said, you know what, I can't pass up the opportunity to do that. I'm here. I want to contribute. I want to participate and help guide in some way. So, again, it was an easy decision, and I'll never forget our first board meeting. So here I am, the rookie, right? Coming in, I'm all excited. We all sit down. We're talking about ideas. It's just passion and commitment and all these exciting things, these talking about, and we're trying to create some more traffic and some more involvement for one of the events. And I look around, I'm like, I'll tell you what, this is going to get Father Dobbin really juiced. And everybody looked at me like, uh-oh, we got a loose cannon. And they were right. But they let me stay. And I had the chance to work with amazing people during that time. Herb Asbury, Bill Savino, Paul Tavano, John Smock, Selma Wunderlich, Pat Bralla. There's many of you here tonight, Katrina, Bridget. I know I'm going to leave somebody out, and I apologize, but they're brilliant people, and there's no ego you check the ego at the door, you walk in, and you think, what are we going to do today to help the university? And it was unbelievably refreshing. I learned so much from it. I can't look back at it and say that there was anything that I would have changed about my participation, and it was all because of Gary and his thoughtfulness and willingness to reach out. His leadership and his approach and open-minded attitude are unbelievably important to the success of the Alumni Association. And in the words of Dickie V, the guy is a flat-out superstar, and we're lucky to have him. Thanks, Gary. He is a true friend. To the guy that was up on the screen there talking, to David, we met my freshman year at Smokey Joe's, and we were introduced by Steve Pannone. Dave went to school with the Pannone that doesn't have the ring, and I was struggling. I was trying to find my way, then, and he spent 3 hours there just listening to me. And I was not in a good place then. I wanted to contribute. I wanted to play. I wanted to help my teammates. And, it wasn't happening. And he was there for me. And we became best friends. We spent 25, 26 years together, 20 of it now in business together. We've had many wins along the way. We've had some challenges, but the guy never changes. He's always been there for me, and I know that I could always count on him for anything. Now, for those of you that do know Dave in the room, you also know that I deserve another medal, actually, too. Because he can be a little challenging at times. But the guy is incredibly warm, and I know that his dad, who was an incredibly special man himself, would look down and say that you're a winner to his son. And he is, and I'm glad he's my buddy. So thanks, Dave. To my teammates, there's a few of those here: Dwayne, D-Train McLean, Chuck Everson, and Steve Pannone. All great players, but much more than that, all wonderful people, great representatives of the university, great fathers, and lifelong friends. We worked hard together, many long hours. We went on an amazing journey together. Who can forget D-Train soaring through the air for those acrobatic dunks? It was an incredible experience. And I feel so blessed to have had that, and beyond that, so blessed to have had it with those people, because it takes it to a different level. You know, one day in practice, I'll never forget, we were working on lob plays, and Dwayne will know where I'm going with this. And, you know, I'm throwing lob passes to Dwayne, and he catches one, and you could pretty much throw the ball anywhere near the rim, and he could do something with it. You know, he was that athletic. So he catches it, dunks it hard over his head, backboard shatters, right? Now I'm like, yeah, right? And he looks at me, he's like, uh-oh. But, you know, he's a smart guy, and he thought, this has got, you know, it's got a little something to it here. So he scooped up a little bit of glass off the floor. We ran down to the locker room, told everybody in the locker room what had just happened and what they just missed. And 2 minutes later, Massimino comes running in, who Rolly had a freaking crystal ball, right? He knew everything that was going on, wherever we were, whenever we, you know, were doing something. And he goes, well, okay, what the heck happened, guys? And, you know, we're all kind of scratching our heads, looking down, and he's looking around the room, and there's like a pile of glass in front of Dwayne. And we said, it was an accident, Coach. And, you know, I think we put our uniforms back on and ran a little bit more after that, didn't we? I had a great time with Chuck Everson in Yugoslavia, what was then Yugoslavia. And, you know, we toured with a Big East team. And, you know, we got our butts kicked for 2 weeks. We were playing against men. They were professionals. And it was an incredible experience. And humbling, right? But I'll never forget this one game. You know, it was towards the end of the trip, and we were just getting hammered. And, you know, we thought the refs were home jobbing us, and we were all upset. And, you know, I'm not bashful, so I got ejected from the game. I was teed off, right? I walk over, and Coach Marbach, actually, who I neglected to mention earlier, is back there. Was one of our coaches back then, and he was with us on the trip. And I go over to him, and I'm looking at him, and he says, "What'd you do?" And I said, "You know, I can't believe they threw me out." He said, "Well, what did you do?" I said, "You know, I was just giving him the V for Villanova sign, except my index finger wouldn't go up." Speaking to Villanovans around the country as president of the Alumni Association. A national championship, meeting and talking with young entrepreneurs in the Villanova School of Business. It has absolutely been an amazing, amazing journey. Another person who Jay mentioned earlier that I wanted to thank in particular was Coach Mass. You know, Daddy Mass, right? He was called Daddy Mass, and it was absolutely true. He knew each of us really well, and he knew what each of us needed, you know, and he really understood me. We had many chats. We had some good chats and some not so good chats, but all helpful in bringing me along, helping me to grow up, and not only as a player, but as a man. He was an incredible motivator. He believed in me. And over time, his approach, his tough love, his persistent and perceptive coaching, and that perseverance made me a believer too. So thanks, Coach Mass. I'm sorry you're not here, but you are here in my heart. To my wife, Carolyn, we've been together now since winter break of 1986. I don't tell her this very often, but she is absolutely one of the smartest people that I know. She challenges, she questions, she comes at things from a different perspective. At times it gets pretty annoying, but we've grown to understand each other well. She is an awesome mom to our beautiful babies. She's a caring wife. She's a health and nutrition counselor. She's a yoga teacher. Her days begin at 6:30 and don't end until 10:30 at night. And her typical response when I say that I've got something to go do is go for it. Now, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, you know, she says that often, actually. But you're always supportive and always there for me, and I love you. Last but not least, two folks here that mean more to me than anything in the world. My mom and dad. They gave me opportunity. They worked their tails off so we'd have a nice home and a chance to pursue our dreams. They counseled, they taught, they let me make decisions, face the consequences, and learn. You know, I'll never forget going for my driver's license, right? I'm a sophomore in high school, and I had been out driving with them for a while, and, you know, they felt absolutely comfortable, and, you know, my buddies are telling me, all right, when you get there in Milford, Connecticut, you're going to come out of the lot, you're going to take a right, you're going to go down this road. I had it programmed in my head, right? Well, we come out of the lot and we take a left. So I'm like, uh-oh. And I'm thinking, now we're heading towards the post road, which is Route 1, busy road, right? And right before we get to the post road, the teacher next to me says, excuse me, son, can you stop the car? Sure. What did I do? Well, can you back up a little bit? Geez, you know, you just went through a stop sign. Sorry, but you failed. Now, I'm about to take my girlfriend at the time, who was a senior, to the senior prom. Not good. My folks let me drive to the senior prom. You know, you may look back and say, ooh, geez, a little risky, right? And you know, I'm glad my guys are starting to fall asleep because I don't want them to know that. But, you know, there was this amazing trust there and this amazing relationship that we had, and the confidence in me that I was going to do the right thing. My mom always was there with her quiet encouragement. Pats on the back, a sandwich after practice, and always a big hug. My dad would ask, you know, why did you miss that free throw with 1.5 minutes left and you're up 16? So they were a good team. You know, they came at it from two different perspectives. They came to almost every game. They made the trek up and down the Jersey Turnpike relentlessly. Good weather, bad weather. You know, it was like the mailman coming down. And they came to a lot of our long trips as well. You know, and some of the guys, you know, remember that and how enjoyable those times were. But, you know, tonight's about the Villanova community. It's not about Harold Jensen. It's about two people that nurtured me and gave me everything they had, and all I've wanted to do is just give it back, and I love you both very much for that. It's been an unbelievable relationship that I've had with Villanova, incredibly rewarding, and I've gained so much, I've learned so much. You know, there was a saying that I think Father Bernard Laser used to share with us. He was our team chaplain. And he used to talk about time, talent, or treasure. And I guess if I could say anything tonight to all of you, and I know many of you participate in the university, you're part of the university, so maybe it means going out and spreading the word, so to speak, but I would encourage you, and I would encourage you to encourage others to participate. And to participate, whether it be time, talent, or treasure. You will take much more from it than you'll ever give. I know I have, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you very much for tonight.
Before we conclude our program, I want to thank the students who helped to make this such a special occasion. Please offer a round of applause for our harpist, Heather Stewart, class of 2009. And members of the Villanova Spires, who we will hear from in a moment. Oh, there they are. I'd also like to offer some very special thanks to Sparks Marketing Group and its president, and my classmate, Dave Sujan, for the production of the video the fabulous video. And we're also grateful for many of the university departments who worked with us and have been represented here tonight, and to the Connolly Center for just the fabulous job that they do here all the time. And lastly, I'd like to thank all of you for being with us on this special occasion and for helping us celebrate with Harold. It was a great night. And at this time, I'd like to invite Father Sean Tracy, chaplain of the Alumni Association, to deliver our benediction. Father Tracy.
Well, Harold, for St. Augustine, and it was pretty much about memory and presence. And the basic teaching was that we come from God, we travel, we're present to one another, we have our memories, and we return to God. But when all is said and done, it's about being present. You have been present to us, we have been present to you. This is homecoming weekend, and you've been home plate tonight. And so let us pray in thanksgiving. Oh God, all of life is giving thanks. Life is Eucharistic. As we gather here, and as we continue to gather and talk, we have our memories, but we have our love. We share, we listen, we break bread together. We care about others, we care about life. May this night be rich in memory, a seed planted, a time for harvest. May we carry these memories and these dreams and these moments with us. And so may we always be a people of thanks. We make this prayer in the spirit of the Word of God who is present in our lives. Amen. And now we ask everyone to join as we sing the Alma Mater. Please stand.